Hi, this is Kelly from Connection Keeping, and I want to thank you for buying the pocket scrapbooking labels and pockets brushes. I didn't know what to call it, so I literally just threw all the names on it. I am a pocket scrapbooker, and I know you guys have seen my pages before, and this is kind of how our family's weekly layouts look. And I made a video 2 weeks ago when I came out with the April kit on how I just add the papers, like literally just throw them in there, and that takes like a couple of minutes. The next step I do is I add the photos. If anyone thinks that they would like to see how I do that, please let me know, but that is kind of the similar thing. The one thing I do is when I add a photo that is going to stick on top, ooh, I didn't cover, my kids like to have their faces covered with hearts, is I I use a Connection Keeping photo border style. It came with if you get the yearbook or the calendar, either of those comes with this free set, and so it's different kinds of shading. So this is just the inside of the border, and then this is with the little shadow, and then this is with the high shadow. And so other than that, that's kind of how I do it. Oh, and this one I always do this at the top of our first pages, and I do that by clicking on my weekly page. I add the picture on top of it, and then I use a mask. So here, if I get rid of the mask, I'll show you how to. So here's the picture. I add a mask, which is this rectangle with a circle, and then I add a brush, and I use a soft round brush, and I put down the opacity. And since you can see the mask is white, so to get rid of stuff, you do whatever is the opposite color of it. I only say that because sometimes people like to, because you can make it all black and the photo's gone, and you can use a white brush to just add in the photo. But for this, I like to make it oops, oh, that's funny. I like to make it all white and get rid of just this bottom part. And so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller and change the opacity. And so then this is how, and this is just how I do my scrapbook. So that's a little masking tip. And so I want to show you these brushes that I made that I love and I use all the time now. I made them like last week, and I'm like, where have these been all my life? And so when you open up your downloads, you'll see there's a brush pack, and then you'll see here, this is my bridge. You get a brush pack, and you get the pockets in black, and journals in black and white. So let me just show you with the black. So these are all the different stamps that you can use, and these work just like elements. You literally just bring them in. So like, say if I wanted to do journaling, well, here, let's do it the right way. Click on the picture that you would like it to be right above, and then I can bring it over here. Sorry, I apologize if this is a little off. And I can just fit it to the right size. And then I can use this for journaling or to put anything else in. I probably would have used white, and so we could leave that there. So you get all the stamps, and then it's pretty, with the stamps, it's pretty, it's probably very similar to anything you've ever used before. Like, here are the some of the pockets, and you can use them the same way you've ever done anything else. But I want to show you how to use the brushes if you've never used brushes, because the stamps are great, but I have to admit the brushes are really, really fun to use and make it so much easier. Okay, so there's two kinds of brushes. There are the labels that are at the top, and then you see the pockets at the bottom. All right, so let's do the labels. In our scrapbooks, these frames or strokes are all bright white. So if I pick white, and I pick one of these and say I wanted to have a little journaling about this trip that I went to an Indian buffet with my friend, and it was amazing. So I'm going to again click on the picture that you wanted, and I always add a new layer. And the reason I do that is if I decide I want to add a style or a shadow or something to the outside to the label, then I can. If you put it on, then it's stuck there and you can't add anything to it. So I add a new layer, and I go to brushes, and I'm going to pick this one, and I can put it like right there. And so right now, I forgot I had my opacity set to low, which is great because then you could write on top of that. But you can put the opacity all the way up, and it's its own thing. And so I could write right in there. Or what you could do is you can add a page into that. So if I go, let me get one of the papers for this. Here, a solid, and say I wanted to do this. I could add this solid, again, which is great why use the brush on a separate layer. And I could even add a quick little style to it. And look how cool it is. It's, you know, then you have like limitless options for word strips, word bits, like anything. So like on a regular scrapbooking page, journaling is usually all together. But when we pocket scrapbook, or you're doing a weekly scrapbook where there's lots of different events that are happening, there's so many little tiny places. And so I used to just write, like over here, I would just put in and write some stuff. It's not writing. Hold on one second. And here we go. There we go. And so I would just write in those spots. But this lets me do it anywhere, where if I would have brought this on here, it's hard to read. So this gives you options to do whatever you want. My favorite thing about it is, so like say for this one, I want to make sure I'm putting on white. Also make sure you pick your thing and add a new layer so it's on top. And so say here, I like to make this small, and I can go and, oh, also if you press shift while you're in your brush, right, and you press shift and any of the arrows keys, it moves it around. At like set things, if you just use the arrow keys, it moves it in smaller increments. But the reason I like this is when I add it here, it actually looks like it's part of the frame. So it gives it like almost like you bought an overlay of all these different kinds. You know, you could have one here if we do this. So I'm going to click this. Oop, not the hearts. A picture. I add a layer, and I'm going to clip this layer. So I do that because so this way this doesn't go off the screen. Like if I didn't clip it and I put this on, you see how it goes across. I don't want that. I want it to only stay on here. So I'm going to make it smaller, which for brushes on Photoshop, you can use the brackets. The left bracket makes it smaller and the right bracket makes it bigger. And again, I'm going to use the arrow keys, and I can go like that. And it makes it look like you got these cool overlays, and I can just put like the park or something. You know, normally I would have written all in this spot right here, but you can do it anyway. Or there's shapes. So like you could do the triangle. Again, what I forgot to do, if you press V, it's a shortcut to get to the move tool, this tool. You can see how it says V. So I press V, and then I click on the one I want. I'm going to add a new spot, and I am going to clip it. And here, let's make it bigger, right there. And now I have this big spot I could write into. I would like to just take this quick moment, just in case if you've never journaled in a space, I'll show you how. You go to the pen tool, and it doesn't have to be exact, but you kind of put that in, and now you have this shape, and you go here, and you literally click, and then you can start watching. Fun picture with Dad. Okay, so you can see, and you're like, why did it skip? Because picture doesn't fit there, so you can make it smaller print so that it makes sure that it's really, wow, the picture, oh, I know, here. You're like, what are you doing? There we go. You had to like, I had to just move it, and you could keep putting like stuff here and just keep writing and writing and writing. When you actually have real type, it will fit in there really well, especially if you make it small, and it'll look really cool and very custom. But sorry, that probably wasn't as helpful. Hopefully another video I'll make, I'll explain that better. The other fun thing, so say this is the paper behind, and I was going to write, but say it was a busier paper than what that is. Well, you can go and use one of these, I'm going to make it white, and put this behind the picture, and you can write on it. You can double it up, and then this is where I can put my type. And if I was more prepared, I'd have a whole bunch of type saved so that I could just copy and paste it over and over there. So these are some ways to use it. You can use it as to color the background. You could use it to make the, we did that, let's see, over here. And you can, oops, So what I did is I put it right on the picture, and that's never really going to give you the options you want. So you make a new layer, clip it to the picture, and here, and then you can add the papers to it. Like, there's so many options. Like, when you're doing this, you will find. Okay, so that's a good thing to note. If you have, here, let me, so I clipped this to this picture, but then I wanted to clip my paper to this stamp or brush that I just used. Well, you can't clip twice because it's really just going to clip to the first thing. So what you do is unclip both, right? And just clip the first one to this. And if I click both of them, right, if I hold shift, I can click both of them. I'm just holding down shift. And then you press control E, and that puts them together. Does that? I hope that makes sense. And now I can clip it to here if I wanted to. That way, if it, like I wanted it smaller, when I clip it, it doesn't go over the edge. And then you can still add a fun style to it. Okay, so that is how I use the labels. I probably would have used something like this. Again, V to click on the spot, and then a new layer here, and we'll make it white. And I might have done something like this, and then I could have written in there. And so that's how a way to use these labels. And I just want to show you really quick how to use the pockets. So say in this picture, here's my son right here, number 30. And so I could always go, so you click on the picture, add a layer. I'm not going to clip this layer because I want it to go all the way to the edge. If you see all of these, we have 6x4 and we have 3x4. They are literally 6x4 and 3x4, but because the free template that came with the January black and white monthly kit is a little bit smaller than the edge of the page. It's not exactly 6x4 and 3x4, so it's a little bit smaller. So if you have a brush and you go to the left bracket and just click it, it makes it smaller. So I can go right here, I'm going to click, and it makes this cool separation. So you could add, oh, I actually wanted to use this one. So here I'm making it smaller. You can make it really small, you can make it big. So this is kind of a fun thing too. Like if you wanted to highlight different stuff, you can do that. The whole thing about pocket scrapbooking to make it look creative is to do varying. That's why I have some pictures below, some pictures above, some have white around the edges like you see these, and some don't. I use different papers, anything that you can do to switch up angle, size, styles, so that there's variety is what makes it look interesting. This is my 10th year of scrapbooking our family, so after a while you're like, how can I make it more exciting? So these are the little things I do. So you can do that. So we're gonna erase that one for a second, and we get a new, and let's see, I want to do it so that it looks like the full, and I go like this, and bam, it looks like it came that way. I could then, when I go, I can put some illustration with the name of the NFL flag football that he does. And if I just clip it to this thing, I can get it to fit in there. I could do embellishments right here. Or I could have put a clear paper here. If I go like this, and I bring a paper like this, and I clip it, I could use this for, I could put an embellishment here. I can put some journaling here. These are here to give you so many options. Also, you can always go and again do a fun style. Here, I like it without the, and you could change it, or you could add a paper and clip it to them. There's so many options that you can do. So these are different. Here's, I like this one. This one's a nice, easy one. Here's a picture of my husband. Okay, so I click on the picture, add a new layer, and this one I'm not going to clip because I want it to go all the way to the edge. So, and I'm going to use this one, and I have white. This is like a Polaroid look. Here, let me make it small so you can see. So you see how that looks? So it gives you a little spot at the bottom to put a small journaling. So if I put it here, see, it's not quite all the way to the edge when I use the brackets to make it bigger and smaller. So I'm going to go here, and I see I want it a little bit bigger. You go up to the side, and it's like 1100. That just means pixels. And I'm going to make it like 1130. And now my brush is the exact size I want, and I clip, and maybe should have clipped a little bit evener. Try to get it as even as possible, and bam. And then it makes it look like a Polaroid picture. And so I feel like you're going to get lots of options. It's really going to open up your all of the different ways that you can do pocket scrapbooking. I would love to hear how you use it. Feel free to like send me any like say, hey, I would have loved, you know, like there's this one, I would have loved it this way. You can always use it this way, like, but the proportions aren't the same. But what you can always do is you go click and you add it right on its own layer, and then you can always transform. So you can always just grab it and pull it this way and this way. So you can use the vertical ones horizontally and the horizontal ones vertical. Hopefully the options are limitless. I hope you love them. Please just write to me at kelly@connectionkeeping.com if you have any questions or comments, or like, hey, this didn't work like I wanted. Can you help me make it look like this? And I would just love to do that. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.